to mislead. This is all you need. Be your everything, and I'll be your everything. Still too soon to feel. Please just say it's real. More than just a thrill, not just in it for the thrill. I'm in it for the loving, 'cause loving needs to touch it. You're pressing on my buttons, babe, let me tell you something. I'm in it for the loving, 'cause loving needs to touch it. You're pressing on my buttons, babe, let me tell you something. I'm in it for the love. 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 your dream. We were ordering some treats. You said it would be alright. I tried to stop you asking why. You started out to face it. My heart went off like crazy. You pressed your arms on my head. We fell into my small bed. You started out to face it. My heart went off like crazy. I felt my breath was taken. We were about to make it.
All right, everybody, welcome back. I hope you had a great break. Okay. Ian, where's my my co-host and Jeff? Hello, Lauren. There you are. Wonderful. Hope everybody had a nice little break. I don't know about you guys, but I had to go stand on the earth because I was so excited. I had so much energy and inspiration. Lauren, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I also went outside for a minute. We've just seen amazing things. We have had lots of speakers, lots of connection building, and it's been just magical. I also want to throw my computer out the window, so I just had to go outside for a minute.
Yeah, I had that happen. I had that moment too. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, is Ian back yet?
Yes, Ian's here, but he's not on camera yet.
Did we send out? A lot of people asked for these Dream Tank virtual backgrounds. Did we post those in the chat?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh,
so
man.
I will do that. Okay, people, if you want the backgrounds, this is the link that has a drive with all these goodies. We have Zoom backgrounds in there. We have the press kit and other materials that you can use to tell everybody to come join us. We have an incredible second half. I want to make sure before we tee up the video that Stan and Max are here.
Heidi, I think you might have people in the other room still, because I was on with about probably half a dozen of the guys from the last session, and at 5 to the hour they were still in there. I don't think they'd moved across.
Yeah, how do we go into all those rooms and make sure we move people? Because I think she's right. There are people still in breakouts, I think.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Brayden.
Thank you.
Hey, Nevin, yes, you are in the right place. This is a good time for a plug, actually. If you have quotes from the event and you'd like to share them on Slack so that we can use them in our social media posting, you can share them on Slack. You can also direct message Nevin in either Slack or here. And we will keep track of those and make sure to use them as we continue to promote the amazing impact that's happening out of today. I know that ventures have been able to ask questions. I know that there have been amazing connections made of people figuring out they're in similar locations or have had similar experiences. There's been beautiful intergenerational communication. One example, in our session, Alice was able to connect with some youth and talk about pushing people out of their comfort zone to challenge goals. I don't know, Alice, if you want to speak to a little bit of that amazingness.
Oh, it was awesome. As far as also on the, we had Tara, who was just phenomenal, and Irene, who were help guiding us on the dream, the dream creators and then the dream crushers, and leading us on some of that. And then, yeah, on the last one too, we had Matteo, who's obviously, he was one of the final, we just almost had an entire one-to-one session. He's 10, which I thought was just the eloquence and articulation from everyone has been phenomenal and really inspiring. So, they've got so many phenomenal ideas, and just there's no bounds to their imagination, which is just brilliant.
Wow, thank you so much, Alice.
Alice, you look like you're glowing. You are glowing right now. I mean, literally, you always looked young, but you look like in your 20s right now. You're glowing.
Oh, also, which is why I know that Jen's in the other room. Look what I went and found over the break.
Oh,
wow.
Nice. I have my hat somewhere too.
There we go. So I went and found it, which is why I know, because she and I were chatting till almost on the hour. And I know she was taking a very quick break and then coming back. But yeah, the collaboration opportunity here is so great. And we had phenomenal guys from Uganda, which I love that they called that the Switzerland of Africa. Because I love going to, I took my parents to Uganda 2 years ago, and it was just the most phenomenal trip. And the people there were amazing. So yeah, our group, Lauren, was awesome, wasn't it? It was all a lot of med tech, which was awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, we're still waiting for Braden to come back on. So Jeff, what was something that was notable for you to share?
Hang on, I'll be back shortly. So
Sure.
just go to someone else now. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let me frame it up. Okay. Do you have it? Because I have it teed up too in case. Okay, great. So everyone, we're really excited. We're going to take you back to January 2020 in talk about Switzerland. Excuse me. That's where I met a lot of these amazing people, where I met Alice. Alice, isn't it amazing what's happened 6 months later? How much the world has changed. But in Davos, I was co-producing an event, and the Dream Tank team and fellows co-produced this event with the Digital Economist. And we had the MIT keynote of Sandy Pentland and one of the Dream Tank council members, Navroop Sadev. We did this together, and we were talking about how to build a new human-centered digital economy. And Sandy Pentland from MIT talks about this a lot. And so a lot of the conversations there was about collaboration and how do we build that. And so here's what I had to say about that in that moment in time. And then right after that, we're going to have two of our young, amazing team members, Stan and Max, talk about what is happening right now in the present and what future we're going into. So go ahead, Braden.
I'm sorry, Heidi, I was being promoted to a panelist. Well, you said that. Did you pass it to me?
Well, we're just waiting for the video.
Oh, waiting for the video. Oh, okay. Just want to make sure.
And Braden, I have it as a backup plan if it's not working for you. Okay. I've been in impact investing and social entrepreneurship, helping adult entrepreneurs and investors invest their money across all asset classes. And what I learned is that it's really very much about purpose when we're talking about investing. And so I was traveling around, going to a lot of different events, family office events, all trying to activate capital towards impact. And about 4 years ago, I was on a panel where the moderator asked me a question that I had not prepared for, that they did not tell us they were going to ask, which was, what would you do if you had 1 year left to live? Now I have kids, and they were little at the time. They're now 11 and 14. And so much flashed in my head at the same time. I thought, well, I'd have to do something so big that maybe it wouldn't happen if I didn't do it. Something that I see has not happened yet. 2, I want to spend some time with my kids. 3, how are we going to achieve these sustainable development goals if we don't have radical imaginations? 4, the people with the biggest imaginations were stuck in school and nobody's been asking them. Can anyone guess who those people are? Children and teens. And then when we look at the tools we have, entrepreneurship, technology, right? We have these goals. We have all these different sectors working separately. We needed a reason to unify everyone. A reason that we could all agree on. Our children. This is their planet. Every decision we make right now affects them. This next 10 years is so critical. It is going to determine everything. So we have an opportunity though. These kids are digital natives. They were born with technology. Let's see what they can do with it. I'm gonna play my video right now.
Quick vision of the future. My name is Amalia. I'm 10 years old, and I think we still haven't really discovered what we are capable of, and we could help a lot more people.
I think the intelligence of children has given me hope for the world. I think that kids can just figure things out, and they do it on the spot. They pick it up so much quicker than the average adult. Vision of the future. What would you like to say to the adults of the world?
Kids are better thinkers.
Dream big!
So when we are building the new human-centered digital economy, we must have the youth be a part of it. Are you with me? Yes. And even the youngest ones, ask them a question. Ask them what they would like to do now. Don't ask them, what do you want to do when you grow up? Ask them, what do you want to do now? And then help them and ask Dream Tank to help you help them, because we're going to change the world. Thank you. Over to you, Stan.
When I saw that video, the words just felt like they popped right into my head. Our world is teetering on the edge. We can choose to either be overwhelmed by the chaos of our lives, or we can boldly take on this situation given to us and solve the issues of tomorrow today. We at Dream Tank are determined to be one of the world's most effective headquarters for innovation and problem solving. We do not settle, we do not give up, and nothing will shake us from our path to unite the world. Join us in uniting our generations to make the future we want to see happen today. Because we are done waiting. We are done letting the adults who claim to lead us waste our town. The youth need to create a world that is able to be inherited, and not one that is so destroyed it is no longer suitable to live on. Our world needs all of us to come together more than ever. We're done waiting. We need actions. We need dreamers. Dreams with no action will only ever be dreams. And in order to make this happen, we are seeking $800,000 worth of funding. To our potential investors and sponsors, every cent you invest goes towards creating some of the most impactful change the world has ever seen. No waiting, no next time. This is the time, our only time. My name is Stan Keith, and I'm only 18 years old. And I'm imploring you to listen to this message, to consider it. And if you feel you are ready to invest in change, please contact us at Dream Tank. Please contact us through our website. We are ready to work with you on what you're able to give us, as well as making donations and checking out our merchandise store, which all those links will be communicated.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. So we'll toss it back to Heidi.
Okay, so we now have the collective impact sessions. Okay, so did anyone go ahead and who's up here want to raise their hand to say what they saw collective impact means? Okay, I thought I'd give a chance. It's probably too hard to bring people live. So the collective impact, the definition is the commitment of a group of actors from different sectors to a common agenda for solving a specific problem using a structured form of collaboration. So there are a lot of articles written, Stanford Social Innovation Review. There's been a lot of examples in history. Collective impact can also be demonstrated by the Lego movie. I love to use that metaphor because a lot of people have seen it. And what I love about it is it's this, the message was we can only overcome together, and everyone has a gift, and everyone working together gets us to our goal. Another example is going to the moon the first time, right? Just making that declaration, we're going to the moon, but we didn't actually know how we would get there. We just knew, who do we need to have on our team in order to carry that out, right? Another example is mapping the human genome, right? That was a major advancement for humanity. And we could never do that if you didn't have a reverse engineer from that future point and then see who needs to come. So we've employed a lot of really cool exercises in Dream Tank, some adopted from Otto Scharmer's Leading from the Emerging Future, a little bit of magic, sci-fi, and incredible data-driven facilitation has helped us unlock and unleash the dreams of each person inside, and then help them see how their part fits into the collective impact, into the center of everything we're building together. So it's very much an individual journey as much as it's an external journey. External meaning really in oneness with community. So individual, community, and collective experience. So these next sessions are going to be in the different topics of our the hackathon that we had. So we're going to be going into different groups that represent the different areas of the ventures you saw earlier. And then we're going to swarm around these incredible ideas and ventures, who are going to be able to see how their idea can be held in a group of people. This is also very different than usual pitches, right? In the profit model, usually the people with the venture prep and prep and prep, then they try to look really good and have no gaps and look like they know what they're doing in every area. But the truth is, none of us have it all together in every area. We all have different zones of genius. And so by allowing ourselves to actually say what we know and what we're good at, but what we're not, it allows other people to come in and collaborate and help us. So it creates more vulnerability as strength in business. And so where traditionally you're pitching and investors are saying, well, I don't know about this. How are you going to do that? I don't know. You need to focus. This is different. What we're saying is, where are the gaps and how can we help you? It's a shift more into an ecosystem of entrepreneurship than an individual entrepreneurial journey. Many organizations have done this really well. Techstars, Global Entrepreneurship Network, Unreasonable, amazing role models and friends and partners of ours have done this really well. But what hasn't happened is youth sitting down at the table with all the different generations. And that leads me to why intergenerational? Why are we doing an intergenerational summit? Is because with youth ideas at the core, and then people of all ages swarming around to help those ideas happen, is a true ecosystem of whole inner peace and outer peace that we can create, and lots of impact. Plus, we get the most diverse voices. Like I said, people are getting dream crushed and their ideas are not being heard. So now we have this amazing opportunity where the most imaginative people have not been in school. So we've been able to do a lot this past 3 months because we've been able to propose to these incredible minds, what can we do together? What can we do to go big from home? So with that, I would like to invite you all to choose the different session that resonates with you. We have different areas we're going to be going into. One is going to be education. The other one is going to be open innovation and economics. And the other one's going to be medical health innovations and mental health. And my last one is not in my notes right now. But can someone share what that is? Great. Okay. So we are going to, Braden, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone what's going to happen next now? And then come back after that because we have an incredible panel and youth commitment ceremony and interactive session after that. And just a little added offering is what we're going to do a lot in these breakout groups is what is this goal we want to achieve together, and then come back into now to make it happen. Oh, you want people? Okay, so go over to the conference hall. Yeah. Okay.
No way. Okay, so I'm completely confused on where we're meant to be going. Sorry, because the link I've been sent takes me to a company called Tiny CC. So the link which is in the chat from Ian takes us into another what looks like spam. So are we basically going back to where we were before the break? Okay. No, doesn't want to let me in. Okay. Let's give this one another go. Okay. Well done, Braden. You're doing a great job.
Awesome. In the meantime, I can give a couple highlights of the day. We've had engaging conversations surrounding healthcare, surrounding open innovation for coronavirus. We have had motivational speakers. We've had storytelling. We've had collective impact sessions. It has been a packed day full of impact, full of commitment, full of movement towards positive change. And I know that people have just been excited and building connections and community. So, in a sorely needed time, this has been an amazing, positively focused, energizing day. And I think with that, I can hand it to Hadi, who will introduce this panel and will kick it off with a very important conversation that we are have been thinking about a lot in the past week since things have escalated in the United States, and I'll hand it to Heidi.
Actually, I would like you to introduce the panel because this was a big.
Oh yeah,
you're near Minneapolis. This is something that we woke up with together but you were really in the midst. So I'm just gonna let you introduce.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds great. And I know people are still trickling in, so I think I'd like to start by maybe give 2 more minutes. But yeah, I live in Minnesota. I'm the Chief of Operations Fellow for Dream Tank, and many things brought me here, but among those things is wanting to make a difference and wanting to stand up for people who don't always have a voice, use my strengths and my passions to make change. And I joined Dream Tank a few months ago, and we have been change making ever since I joined, hitting the ground running, finding solutions. People bring us problems, and we always have an answer. And then in the last week, my world was turned upside down living in Minnesota, and friends were affected, and family was affected. And there was a moment that I was scared, and I talked to my team openly and said, like, what are we going to do? There's a problem. And it was this beautiful moment where everyone reminded me, like, Lauren, that's what we do. We have solutions. Let's talk about this. And we talked about it, and we decided, having planned this event for so long, that we were going to do something that would create impact, that we wanted to create change, that we wanted to move quickly and respond, because that's what youth, I think, often are good at. And we wanted to be brought to the table, and not only just brought to the table to give input, but to lead by example. And I think that I know that that's what we have the power to do, and that's what we plan to do, led by some intergenerational leaders. And then we'll have a beautiful moment where we pass the baton onto us youth to, again, lead by example. We're done just listening, and I think we're going to walk away from this hour feeling like we have potential to create light in a really dark time, and to walk away with tangible change instead of having just talked about it. So with that, I'll hand it to Priya to tee us up for change making.
Thank you so much, Lauren. So good evening, everyone. My name is Priya Samant, and I'm very honored to be moderating this panel, Racism and its Impacts on Young Minds. A very pressing topic for discussion in the times that we are right now in. On the surface, America is the land of opportunities and dreams, but there has been an undercurrent of racism and xenophobia that seems to be on rise. There is an urgency now, more than ever, an equally important responsibility for us to bring these discussions to the homes and to the schools. The world that we live in, and especially this country, is going through crisis. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were forced to assess our roles as humans and the effects that we have on this planet Earth. But in last 10 days, we are all forced to stop and reflect on our roles as Americans, and moreover, about humanity and how we treat each other and the effects of our actions that we have on our children. I'm mother of 2 boys, and kids of all ages are disturbed, confused, angry, and have questions and and want to be part of this conversation. They want to learn, what is America? Is this the one that they learn in the school or the one that they see on the television? What is it all about? So, with that, I would like to open this conversation with Linda Clemens, CEO of Sisterpreneur Inc. Linda, um, so my question to you is, from the youth's perspective, there seems to be two Americas. One, which is the land of opportunities, and it's beautiful, and the other that is inhumane and grim. The discrimination and the racism that is deeply rooted in the formation of this country has resurfaced again for the entire world to see. Black Lives Matter was founded 7 years ago and has toiled to create tremendous awareness globally about the violence and the racism towards Black people. Change needs to happen. In your view, can you tell what specific steps we need to take now so that Black people aren't automatically viewed as potential threats?
First of all, I'm so excited to be a part of the council and a part of this wonderful, wonderful movement that is beginning. One of the things that we have to realize, we are living here in America, a country that is supposed to have the opportunities and freedoms for all. Can you imagine being threatened or afraid of a person where who their legacy and their ancestors built this country? You could do everything on free labor, everything on free labor. So, one of the things that we need to understand as a people, which is so critical, number one, we need to understand that all Americans, we should have the same values, such as justice, opportunity, and equality. These are important to everyone. So, if I can understand that in you and see the potential in you, then you should be able to see it in me. That's the first thing. But in or people to not be threatened by my skin color or my blackness or the brown skin color of my brothers and sisters who are brown and black as I am. First, we must start with the justice system, who's responsible for how those who are treated within the Constitution. That's a start. So when we think about what happened there in Minnesota, think about this. We talk about 8 minutes and 46 seconds. My friends, it's more than that. It's well over 400 years of a people being oppressed. So here's what you could do to be able to eliminate the threat, be able to eliminate the feelings. Charles Duhigg has a book, The Power of Habit. Let's begin to change the habits that feed into the fear of what we're having. Is the fear because of the crime that's going on? Is it the fear because of a group of people that have been oppressed that they're acting out? And when someone acts out in their pure instinct to be able to protect themselves, then they lash out. Is it that fear? Because you and I both know the fear wasn't there when Lattimore, great black inventors have contributed so much to this world, from the first black surgeon who did the first open heart surgery, from all of the contributions. The fear wasn't there because we all benefit. It takes both black and white keys to make beautiful music. So here's what we do. The first thing we do, Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. So look within the self. If if you are the recipient of in a country where you're free, but yet perhaps your ancestors paid a cost. My ancestors paid a cost for my freedom. Freedom's not free. Perhaps someone else's ancestors owned slaves. So now it's down to us in this day. And here's where the young generation comes in. This is when we say no more. This is where we say the buck stops here. This is where we say that we make the commitment that every day that we get up, I'm going to try to seek to understand. I'm going to try to engage and know the history of someone else's culture. And I'm going to lead with love, because love is the enemy of hate. Empathy is the enemy of apathy. And when we're able to lead with they and seek to understand, therefore you can bring a people in. Here's what gets me. I travel around the world with two areas of expertise. One, I'm in sales. The other expertise that I travel in as a nonverbal communications expert. As a body language expert, here's what takes place. I may hear your words, but it means nothing if your actions are not congruent. So I want to say to America, and I want to say to our young people, it's more than lip service. My grandmother used to say, child, I don't want to hear a sermon. I want to see one. So when we begin to take action, if you want to eliminate the fear, take action. If you want to eliminate the threat, take action. You cannot receive what you do not give. You cannot receive what you do not give. You ever walked into a room and you can feel that they were talking about you? Have you ever walked in the room? It could be 90 degrees outside and you feel the chill. So can you imagine being in a room, being in the presence, being in the fact that someone cannot be able to engage or seek to understand? Because let me tell you this, if you and I have to go to the hospital and you and we need a blood transfusion, and there are 10 vials of blood, you cannot tell me the color of that person. But yet I have the capability to be able to give life because we are together. I do not want to stand before my maker. It doesn't matter what your faith or your belief is. I just know in the core of my heart, when I stand before my maker, I'm not going to stand full. I want to stand empty. I want every young person to stand empty so that you can say, I used everything that I got to make a difference in someone's life. That's how you do every day. How can I add value? How can I change someone's life? I cannot change history, but what I can do in the presence is have something secure for our future together. And it starts with my Caucasian brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers and sisters, my Latino brothers and sisters, my Jewish, my Catholic, all my brothers and sisters, because one race we all belong to is the human race. And believe it or not, hate is the enemy of love. So when you start with you, I think there was a song Michael Jackson sang, it starts with the man in the mirror. I can't change you, but I can change your outlook. I can't change what you feel or how you grow up, but I can change your impression of me. So if it begins with me, if I do it, then my children would do it and their children would do it. And to all the adults that are listening and this wonderful generation, people do not do what you say. They will do what they see you do. So if you want to overcome the fear, we do it with action. And then make it even worse. Add the love to it and the compassion. And here's what takes place. It's a double-edged benefit. Not only will you see someone else rise, you will begin to rise too. And then together, we can breathe again.
Wow, this is really powerful. So you spoke about fear. So my next question is to Salim. Salim, Islamophobia and other anti-minority sentiments seem to have taken an uptick rather than diminish. And in this digital age, where information is at everybody's fingertips, how should young people understand, process, and engage with digital media's representations of Muslims and people of other ethnic minorities?
So, first of all, awesome to be here. Really important discussion, obviously. Um, my family in India is mixed Hindu Muslim, which is a really weird thing. And I've been called anything from Greek to Puerto Rican to whatever, as many people are Egyptian. Apparently, I look quintessentially Egyptian. Um, uh, um, and so this is my wife Lily is actually half Persian and Jewish, and so we've got kind of 16 minorities rolled up into one. Our poor son has no idea what whatever gets him sweets is what he rolls out at that kind of moment. Mm-hmm. I think the bigger issue, and I'll use the current. We lived in the U.S. for 20 years. I lived in Europe for 10 years, and we're currently in Canada. And there's something really fascinating about living here, where the vast majority of people have all come from somewhere else in the last generation. As a result, there's very little built-in racism. There's lots of tension here and there, but it's not deep ingrained, as Linda mentioned, has come in the US. So, I mean, what is a Chinese person going to say to an African American? You know, everybody's just literally arrived as first generation immigrants. And there seems to be a more balanced view of the other. And the way that the healthiest way that I've seen it related to is you play for the Buffalo Bills and you play for the Dallas Cowboys. What shirt do you happen to wear? But you're all playing the same game. And that metaphor of, there's one mountain of human experiment and human effort, and each culture, religion, minority subset is one path up that mountain. And as long as you're going up and trending in the right way, that's the important question. Trying to complain that your path is the right path versus somebody else's is a very difficult thing to do, especially since you can't travel their path. You're stuck on yours. And so it's a very hard thing to do to navigate this problem. When we look at the kids of the world today, I think there's two main thoughts that I have. I think the first is kids today are being raised in an era of multiculturalism in many parts of the world and are being trained for this. I think the huge issue today is the tribal tendencies of adults, right? And this is the enormous challenge that we have. A big structural, and here comes the mongrel now. And so the huge challenge that we have in our world is how do we raise our kids in that way? I think if we can raise the kids to view the world as, hey, what shirt are you wearing? What hairstyle are you wearing right now? What t-shirt do you choose to wear today? That's how we relate to it. It's a skin that can be turned on or off. You abstract it out from the individual, from the identity, right? The identity is human. What skin you happen to have on happens to change. I believe in reincarnation. I don't know what I'll be born in the next life, and therefore one better be nice to that group, because you're going to be at some point dealing with that in reality or not. So I think that's one very important and powerful tension. I think the second is in terms of media. In terms of media, the amplification of rich media and social media allows us to amplify our hopes, but also our fears. And it's very important to amplify fear, right? And I'm just going to make this important biological point. Our brains are geared around fear. When we were growing up on the plains of Africa, if you heard a noise in the bushes, you ran, because bad news could kill you. Right? Good news doesn't kill you. If I have some good news or constructive news, I might, if I miss that, I might miss some fruit that I could eat. If I miss some bad news, I died. So we're literally 10 times more likely to pay attention to bad news than to good news, right? Peter Diamandis, one of my colleagues, calls CNN the crisis news network. Fox News has made a living on this paradigm. And what the internet and social media have allowed us to do is amplify that fear. We then believe some of it, we then vote based on it, and you end up in a bad place. And I think the time has come to lift past that. I did a debate with Randy Zuckerberg of Facebook a few years ago, and she and I debated the benefits of social media. And I actually argued against it because I said, what you're doing is taking the dynamics and paradigms of high school, unfriending, liking, groups, cliques, etc., and making this at an internet scale. We actually need to transcend our tribal and our biological need for tribalism and need to lift off that. And right now our politics are preying on the fear of tribalism. And we as a group, and what I would say to kids today is you need to recognize, A, that you're part of the global whole. And Corona shows us that there is no safe haven in this. We are one human race. It's attacking all of humanity. And then from that perspective, look at it as to what team sport are you, what color jersey do you happen to be wearing today? And Lily, I think you have a couple of comments around this.
Well, my thought for the kids is that in spite of the backdrop that may be around them at any given moment, if they can put an emphasis on showing up for the opportunities that do present, even if they're not feeling their most confident on a certain day, or they don't 100% understand what's going on around them, opportunities come and things can evolve because you show up. So I think show up and stand in your skin and be the most confident you can be in any given moment, and let opportunities unfold in front of you.
You know, we did this event a few weeks ago, and we framed the state of the world as Mad Max or Star Trek. And our politicians are driving us down a Mad Max world. And one of the powers of Star Trek is they have this phrase called IDIC, infinite diversity, infinite creativity. And we need to figure out how to tilt that future from the current Star Trek path that's going down into a Mad Max, to more of a Star Trek. And I actually have very pessimistic views on the capability of adults to do this. I think what we find powerful about the kids, and we've heard all day about this, is the kids have the power to actually make this shift and transform it. And so I would basically say to the younger folks today, grab the world and just take it over, and say to the adults, you're not going to be around for long. And we need to just take over. Thank you very much for your help.
So Lily, you mentioned about the opportunities. So what I feel is opportunities are not equal for all, and all the youths here might agree to it. So my next question is to Jeff. Jeff, while the entrepreneurial activity, startup activities is on the rise, entrepreneurs of color remain underrepresented and excluded. What can be done to change the conversation on the access to capital and inclusion in this entrepreneurial world, which is very competitive?
Sure. So let's start with an interesting thing, which is more about data. So once we built, and we in this case, I'm talking about my role as chairman of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, we now have actually people on the ground in 180 countries. And we were able to create a research unit, thankfully for us, with funding from the Kauffman Foundation, which is the world's largest foundation funding entrepreneurship. And then we worked with governments at the minister, president, and prime minister level of many of these countries, and universities and the whole ecosystem. And we finally got to data. And here's what we discovered. They're actually not underrepresented at all. They're simply not categorized as entrepreneurs. If you go, for example, you well know this place. Last time that I was in India, we went over to the Thieves Market, as it's called. There's a market called the Thieves Market, and the Indian host that I was with started laughing and said, every one of them an entrepreneur, none of them even knows that word, right? Hong Kong, for all those years, what were all those stalls? They were entrepreneurs. So in the US, when you go through many little places, we recently just did a program we're doing to support minority entrepreneurs in the US that I'm doing with Pitbull, the singer. I'm talking about Latino entrepreneurs. And now we're turning that program into Black-owned small businesses. So there are entrepreneurs by the millions, but they're not in the data. They're not in the report. They're not examined. They're not called entrepreneurs, and they're not treated that way. So the good news is they're not underrepresented in the activity. The bad news is they're dramatically underrepresented in the support ecosystem. They're not getting funded because they're not even in the discussion. Nobody's inviting them to the table to get funding. They don't have access to the resources. Part of the reason, as an example, that Pitbull and I are doing this Latino program is that they don't even watch, they don't read the same websites, the same news, the same television, and the same radio that the United States government decided to put out the information on the Paycheck Protection Program on. Many of them don't even know it existed. Literally, if you look at the application, it's got cultural bias in the application. And it was routed to banks that minority-owned small businesses. And we studied Asian, Latino, Black, veteran-owned, women-owned, and LGBTQ. Those are all populations we studied, every one of them dramatically underrepresented in the entrepreneurial ecosystem because the information doesn't get to them. They're not part of Techstars. They've never even heard of it, right? They don't know what Y Combinator is. They're just, we're not using channels that get to them. They don't respond. Are you an entrepreneur? They will tell you they're a business owner, a small business owner. So we have a fundamental problem that culturally, we don't even reach these people. We don't invite them to the table. So of course they're not getting their share. And one silver lining that came out of COVID was for the first time in the US, especially with this program, we got a chance to really look at this problem and really collect data. And so the we is my organization, Global Entrepreneurship Network. We did this in partnership with a small business resource company called Hello Alice. We're partnered with the US Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Chamber of Commerce, Black Chambers of America. Stanford University did a report, the Center for Responsible Lending. Finally, a lot of people said, let's go see who is getting support as entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so we've uncovered the fact that we're not delivering the right message to the right people. And we're not, the way the programs work, they were not designed well at all to reach minority entrepreneurs and to service minority entrepreneurs. So I think that a good thing that may come out of this whole COVID crisis in the ineffectiveness of programs like the government's PPP program, right? We have actual numbers. 91% of minority-owned businesses were rejected for the funding. So where did that money go? You can already guess where it went. It was all over the news when larger companies and very people that look like me, older white male companies, et cetera, were getting easy access because we bank at Chase Bank and their private client thing, right? The access to it. These minority-owned entrepreneurs tend to fund their own business with their own cash. They use credit unions, which were not in the PPP program, and they use small, and really good thing, they use small local banks that did not have access to PPP money. So we have a systemic problem with the way the system was designed to not even invite minority entrepreneurs to the table. It has to be fixed. And we at least pulled the covers off and said, yikes, why are they 91% rejection rate? Because the whole freaking system's wrong. So what I'm excited about now is that now that we've all admitted there's a problem, and we're inviting some of them to the table. We've been talking to, in our project I just told you about, we've been giving out $10,000 cash grants ourselves, not government money, not loans, just giving money to minority-owned businesses right now. But we've been dealing with more than 100,000 businesses a week in this process. And so our sample size is real. And I'm not just saying just us, a lot of people. We have to fix the system. We have to figure out a top to bottom and then a bottom to top way to have these people recognized as entrepreneurs. For example, we're earmarking money that is only for minority entrepreneurs. We're taking 80% of our money and we're only giving it to underserved communities now. No one else can even apply for it. That didn't exist before. That's not the case in the government's money. We have to do that privately. So I think that now I'm going to end by saying we as the whole community, as the country, and then as the world, because we're looking at this globally after this, we have to come together and say, let's just completely redesign the system that provides funding to small businesses, that provides recognition of who's an entrepreneur and who's not, that divvies up the resources, everything from real estate to mentorship, to loans, to grants, et cetera. It's an opportunity to reboot and rewrite the system, but it's not going to happen from the top down. The government's not going to do it. All the people on this call, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to create a better system to support entrepreneurs because small business built this country. Small business drives the economy. Small business creates all the jobs. And if you look at the closest thing we can find, the 2008 recession, and you look at the Stanford study I referred to earlier, small business rebuilt the economy, not the government, not major corporations. We must have entrepreneurs and we must find a way to get minority entrepreneurs treated the same way as the majority entrepreneurs, or whatever you want to call them.
Thank you so much, Jeff. So my next question is to Ian, who is a youth entrepreneur, and he's 15 years old. Ian, your nonprofit Dream Hustle Code focuses on coding and personal development for the under-resourced communities. What have you, as a Black youth, learned from George Floyd's death and courageous act of Darnella Frazier?
Mm. Well, first off, I just want to say what an honor it is to be on a panel with such amazing individuals. What I've learned a lot from this, whole situation. And first and foremost, I want to say personally, I can't speak for everyone in my community. I can only speak for myself. But what I learned is that number one, uh, the riotings and the peaceful protests are all good and all, but I don't believe that our solution is rioting because it is a way of getting rid of our frustrations, but it's not the right way for us to move forward because it's honestly setting us back. Now I completely understand why people are doing the things that we're doing right now because we're at a boiling point. We've been enduring this for 400 years plus, and we're all sick and tired of it, and we're angry. But I don't believe that this is the way, and I feel, and I've actually myself have felt some of the frustrations that they felt in their own. See, we've been rioting and we've been protesting sent for the longest time. We've been writing since Rodney King's police brutality case back in 1992, where they rioted in Los Angeles after the video and the police were acquitted. And so what happened? The same thing happened last week with George Floyd on May 25th, 30 years later, and still nothing has changed. Right? Similarities. Both started with police brutality. Both instances were recorded. Both times led to rioting. And so this whole situation has made me understand that the youth really have to come together and make the difference because let's face it, I hate to say this, but the older people aren't making a difference right now. They're not moving fast enough. So we have to take it into our own hands, starting with discussions like this, having open-ended discussions where everyone is able to share their opinions and share their feelings. I think this is just the first step of the road. Another solution is we have to be willing to go back into our history. We have to be willing to learn of how this whole thing was set up, the systemic racism from education to economic to housing to healthcare, and even through the prison system, how there have been laws set up to keep the Black community disadvantaged and to keep us from being able to uh, have access to opportunities and access to resources in other communities. And I'm not saying this as it's a setback, but it's time for a change. We all have to come together, right? And so I'll share my experiences. See, I have cousins who are Asian. Most people don't know this, but I'm half Asian and half Black. And I have cousins who are half Asian and half Irish and German. But I've known my cousins for all of my life, and I even remember spending weekends with them when I was little. But even though we're both blood family, we both come from the same blood, people don't look at us the same, and we're even treated differently in America. See, my cousins look more Asian than I do. In America, even though I'm 50% Black, I always or 50% Asian, I'll always be viewed as Black. And so what kind of, it doesn't really infuriate me, but it's like, why is it this way? Is that I guarantee you the way that I was raised is different from my cousins because I had to learn from a young age different ways of how to handle encounters with police, how to handle encounters with different situations, and how to carry myself in different rooms if I was the only Black person in that room. And it's unfortunate, but I didn't let that keep me from doing the work that I do. As you mentioned, I co-founded a nonprofit organization so that we could bring access and opportunity to kids who are underrepresented in the tech space, not just Black kids, but Black, brown, Asian, Hispanic, white, people who are underrepresented in that space. I didn't let those things hold me back. I continue to do that. In fact, we took a trip to Silicon Valley this past summer where I took kids from Chicago, from underrepresented communities there, so that they could visit tech companies like Google, Netflix, Twitter, Vector 90, and even Warner Brothers, right? I didn't let that setback hold me back, right? And that's one thing that we all have to do. Even though that this is a setback, even though we have lost a great many, not even just George Floyd, but many other people in our community, we have to use this setback as a set up to propel us for a comeback, a massive comeback. And it all starts with us all coming together. And one thing I always say is this isn't a race war. This isn't a war between Black versus white. This is a war between what's just, injustice and things that are right. This is a war between right versus wrong. And so we all have to come together. All of my white brothers and sisters, my counterparts, we need you to speak up about what's going on and why this is wrong. We also need all of your support. We need all of the older people, all the adults to support the youth in trying to make this change, because yes, the youth is going to make it, needs to make the change, and we have all the great ideas and we believe we can make this happen, but we need your resources and we need your voices. So if all of you could, we need to come together in order to make change. We all need to unite, move as one, and communicate with each other. And only then, when we move as one, will we really be able to catch the attention of those in charge and be able to reshape this country into what we know can make it better.
Thank you so much, Ian. This is really very inspiring. So my last question is to Heidi. Um, Heidi.
Hi.
Oh, hi. So you you are mobilizing young people's vision and experiences by your organization Dream Tank. What do you envision America to be when today's youth become responsible citizens?
Well, I have to say, when I saw that question, I was just like, I just started laughing because I thought, oh, I'm going to give her an answer she might not expect, which is, who's the responsible people right now? Because I mean, how I feel is that as a young person, all of us were, not all of us, like in school or when we're young, in general, many parents want their children to have a good life. And so, some kids hear things like "go after your dreams," right? And in kindergarten or so on. And I know it's not the same educational system in the whole world. We had an incredible education session with Ronnie from Uganda telling us about the colonial education system there. So it's really, but it's all based on an old system. It's completely irrelevant for the world that we're going to build. So what is going on right now is the youth are looking up and saying, why are we learning this stuff that is not relevant? This is pre-COVID, right? Because I started doing this about 4 years ago. And we all hear, like when we're young, go after your dreams. And a lot of our education system then completely doesn't support that. I mean, it's just so laughable, actually. I mean, when you take a step back and you look at the world from an alien's perspective, I love doing that exercise. It's so fun. Is like, what are these people doing? Why is their school system not helping the world they want to live in? It's just such a disconnect, and young people see that, and then they see us going along business as usual, right? We'd say, oh yes, of course you should go and do whatever you want, and go, you can do anything. All the messages that people, when you can tune in, you hear in a lot of ways, but then there's really no system that really allows you to go do that. And then all of a sudden they get disillusioned. And there's a lot of angst, not now, and it's even harder now, but before this, the depression, the anxiety, the suicides were up because what I read and what I saw and what Linda was saying is, instead of fear, take action, right? But when there's no action to take, when you don't see what action you can take, you don't know that something exists like this, it feels very desperate and futile for young people who are so see the world in this unified way. And so, I mean, this generation, especially Gen Z, there's 16 genders that the young people talk about, and they don't even see gender. It is now cool to have a different kind of gender for them, right? So they don't have to go through all what happens is, then they grow up and then they see that the society is dividing people, and then they think they're weird for feeling unified. So what we need to do is embrace this unified view. It's like I was talking to my daughter the other night. She said, I don't understand why people treat people based on the color of their skin. And by the way, it's beautiful. Why? And she just was so frustrated. And so I want to channel that and say, yes, let's actually just go with that viewpoint, right? And so responsible adults to me means that they're showing us how to be responsible adults right now, that when they take leadership, we will have supported them to become the leaders that they were meant to be now. And then when they're adults, this world will be totally different, and maybe even sooner. Because if we create the world from the unified view of, I don't see color, I don't see gender, right? You create it from that unified view with the imaginations out of the box. That is what Rumi said. One of my favorite quotes is, there's a field beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. And that is where I want to go. That is the portal that I felt driven to create with Dream Tank. And that is why I will not tolerate dream crushing or limitations. And honestly, myself, I've had to limit this vision in the world that we have been in so that people took me seriously. I've been in the finance world, and I talked about bringing feminine energy into finance and things like that. And I've had some success for sure, but it hasn't been as fully unleashed as now, because now we are all here together and really willing to stand for unity. And I couldn't be happier that I was saying it actually to Ronnie in the education system. He was saying what his crazy idea was. And I said, your crazy is normal to me, just so you know. And he said, that's so refreshing. He laughed so hard. And I said, yes, when you step into the dream tank, crazy is normal. And we're all in the new normal now, where we can jump through this portal and we can create the future with unity. And so the responsible youth are teaching us adults how to be more responsible. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much, Heidi. So we are almost towards the end of the panel. So I will give my closing remarks. We heard from youth entrepreneur, we heard from CEOs, we heard from nonprofit leaders, and also from an author. 2020 has made all of us very uncomfortable. Let us make this year as the year of change, declare change, work for change, and become the change. Let's all speak up and use our voices, our networks, the platforms that we get, and our influence to make the positive change in this world. And I always like to end with a quote that, and this is a quote I saw on social media. Black lives matter. Women's rights are humans' right. Love is real. Love is love. Science is real. Knowledge is power, and kindness matters. With that, I would like to pass on the baton to Lauren Anderson. Thank you for having us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya, and thank you so much to our panelists. I want to invite Brayden to bring my other team members and youth to the stage, because we are going to do something kind of unique. I think often in panels, we talk and we hear great insight and amazing leadership, and then there isn't always opportunity to commit. And in the last week, through Dream Tank and hearing from youth, from leaders, we decided that we wanted to make commitments. We needed to walk away from this time not having just talked about it. So having said that, I have a couple more things, and then we're going to launch into commitment making and dream making. Dream Tank shows up. Dream Tank will not be run by fear. We are done just talking about change. And so I'm inviting you to watch us. I'm inviting you to follow us. And I'm inviting you to ask us and to ask your kids what they would do and follow them. Because oftentimes the mind of a child can see this more clearly than anyone else. I'm also the second oldest of 6 kids, and I'm often reminded of that by my younger brothers and sisters. So we're done just talking about change. We're going to dream make, and I will start, and I'm going to call on my youth team to lead by example, and then we'll open it up for you to raise your hand and to also make a commitment today. So my name is Lauren Anderson. I live in Minnesota. I'm the COO of Dream Tank. And I want to say to all underrepresented communities and people, I see you, I hear you, and I am with you in any way that I can be. And today I'm going to commit to taking my whole family of 8 people and my grandparents through implicit bias training. And we're going to post on social media when we're done. And I hope that that can be something that we continue and lead by example in my community. I'm going to invite Brayden to go next. Thanks, Brayden. Yeah, I'm just going to keep rolling along, and the goal is to get through as many commitments as possible. Stan?
My name's Stan Keith. I'm 18, and I'm an impact investing expert fellowship at Dream Tank. And what I'm committing to is going to my first peaceful protest and asking the people their stories and experiences with racial injustice. And I'm going to take those stories and communicate it to the people around me who don't go to those kinds of things to help them reach out of their bubble.
Thanks, Stan. Keshav?
So hi, my name is Keshav Soni. I'm 15 years old and from the Bay Area. So one thing I'd like to discuss, a short discussion, is this is from Neil deGrasse, a scientist. And there's 3 truths in the world. There's personal truth, there's political truth, and then there's objective truth. Personal truth is what you believe. Political truth is essentially what your society believes, what the government believes, what the politics believe. And then there's objective truth. It doesn't matter who believes it, it's going to exist there forever. Like, we know physically that everyone in our world is 99% similar genetically and emotionally as well. We might be diverse by the skin color, but that doesn't separate the 99% that is equal of a part of us. So what I'm gonna commit to is I'm gonna help people find objective truth and disregard what our societies thinks, what the stereotypes we have from for other people, and I'm gonna help people find this objective truth.
Thank you so much, Keshav. Rachel?
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm the PR volunteer here. And I am committing myself to researching ways to be actively anti racist and also supporting minority owned businesses and helping to promote that in my community as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Rachel. Anshuman.
Hi, I'm Anshuman Purulakar. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Massachusetts. I'm the Innovation Fellow at Dream Tank. And I just wanted to share a quote with you all. It's by Martin Luther King. And he says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And so, based on that, I'm committing to making sure that I research every single bit of this crisis and don't make any false assumptions about, and really make sure that my decision is based on facts and not on opinion or oppression or any uh thing that I have, or anything that I've learned from in the past. And I just want to commit to kind of putting myself in other people's shoes and realizing what they are going through and making sure that I really understand that and trying to help them in any way that I can.
Thank you so much, Anshuman. Parya.
Hi, I'm Parya Safari, and I'm concert coordinator at Dream Tank. And I'm so happy to be with you guys here. And I want to emphasize on the importance of the humanity. And I wish to have a word that we are just focusing to take care of the humanity and nothing else. And with that, I want to say that I see you, I hear you, and I'm with you.
Thank you so much, Parya. James.
Hi, my name is James Singer. I'm a tech fellow here at Dream Tank. And
Video.
while, oh, you can't hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
you want the video? Oh, got you. I'm sorry. I forgot.
There you go.
Well, I do want to say that I go to school every day and celebrate the incredible artistic achievements of the African American community in the jazz program. I had just taken a jazz history course, and that's what it's all about. And it's incredible. But in terms of changing, I want to start being able to recognize small acts of racism and call them out for what they are. I feel like too often something some kind of like microaggression or small racist comment goes un that's what I'm looking for here, like unreprimanded, and I want to change that within my ways of acting.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much. George, what is your commitment?
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is George American, and I am a social media social media fellow for Dream Tank, and I just wanted to bring up something that I heard from Reverend Al Sharpton during George Floyd's funeral yesterday, and it was we can't judge a person by their color. We can't judge that this person's not smart or this person's not physically capable of something because of their color. Back in 1950, when the white people put the black kids in a separate school that didn't teach as many subjects, that had uh, poor facilities, that's because they thought that the, please excuse my language here, the black people were, just not smart enough, and they were wrong, because there are so many smart people, like many examples, many African Americans who are extremely inspirational. Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, all these people are if you have to reach that level, you have to be smart. And I'm just, I mean, just like everybody else, I just want to create equality for every single race and, in this world, and just, you know, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I mean, just have
Yeah.
equality for all these races. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. Amalia, what do you commit to today?
What do you mean by commit exactly?
So everyone, all of us Dream Tank are leading by example to give everyone here an idea of what we can do to help solve the problem that's being experienced in the United States.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know, just brainstorming and making ideas about how to change education in the USA and in other parts of the world, and finding a way to make a difference.
Oh no, Amalia, you're muted.
Sorry. And just trying to help brainstorm about different ways that you can change the planet and raise awareness about what Dream Tank is doing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amalia. Nevin.
Hi, I'm Nevin. I'm in the social media area, and I just wanted to bring more awareness to mental health, especially on social media, because not a lot of teens my age really talk about mental health to other people. And I feel like if it does get talked to, it often gets neglected and their voice isn't being heard. So I feel like it's when we use technology such as the AI, it would help understand and guide people who are undergoing mental health issues due to social media portraying certain concepts and bring positive awareness. And I feel it should be brought up within more us millennials.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nevin. And Salim, one of our mentors.
I think I would make the commitment to, as I think about the family and how we're going to deal with this, I think I would make the commitment to meet 10 families of other races and just really understand their stories. Because it's through that kind of integration that we'll kind of win the cultural war here, just having compassion that can scale.
Amazing, powerful. Thank you, Salim. Jeff, what's your commitment today?
Sorry, Lauren, were you talking to me?
Yes.
So I made this commitment long ago in regards to this topic of understanding and racism and ignorance and all those things. I made a commitment when I was our youth's age, when I was a kid, that throughout the course of my life, I would try to have dinner with a family in their home in as many communities, races, ethnicities, and countries as I possibly could. I've been to 97 countries, and I think I've had dinner with families in their house with their kids in about 63 of them. So my commitment is I got to finish that. That is how I am developing my level of understanding by actually getting to know people, by breaking bread with them and their families, which, by the way, Lauren, we just did with your family recently, so I'm going to count that one.
Amazing. Alice, let's go to you.
One of the things I'm really passionate about is ensuring that people are hired and employed in things that they love. And oh, sorry. There we go.
Oh yeah, there you are.
So is to ensure that essentially people are loving what they do and doing what they love, but also that responsibility sits with every business owner to hire for skill and for what is inside somebody's brain and nothing else. So
Amazing.
that's what I always work for, is to try and ensure we're all there with the skill and the aptitude that we have to offer the most.
Amazing. All right, let's go to Linda.
Thank you. I think what my commitment to do every day and every person that I meet is just try to find something where I can add value to their lives. If I can do that so that when I'm in their presence, I'm fully present. And if I can just do one little thing to make their life better, then that's my way of starting and making a change.
Amazing, Linda. Let's go to Ian. And just before we go to Ian, I want to invite you to raise your hand and Brayden can bring you to the stage. You've seen youth lead by example. Youth will continue to lead by example. And let's walk away with everyone having made a commitment either to yourself or having stated it to this community. Ian.
Oh, first off, I just want to say how powerful it is seeing a bunch of different people from different races, but all from the same race, the human race coming together and making a commitment to not only help one community, but to also make a commitment for changing the entire world for the better. My commitment to make change is to continue onboarding as many kids who are underrepresented in the tech space into computer science, to not only just set them up for the economy of the future, but to also remind them to grab their rightful seat at the table, right? I'm also committed to not speak on behalf of my community, but speak a part of my community on what is going on in the world, how people can support us, and also speak up with a platform that I have about racial injustice, but also just how we can keep improving this human race to make changes and to just make this a better place for everyone in the world.
Amazing. Thank you, Ian. And I see we have Emerson on. Emerson, what is your commitment to change?
Everyone. So my commitment to change is working with a project that is helping stop the criminalization of youth. As we know, framing and labels have so much power, and when someone is labeled a criminal, it changes their fate to themselves in so many ways. And so just naming that and wanting to use my white male American health and safety, safe cis privilege to become a better ally and to uphold other voices that might not otherwise be heard. And so with that, why not how we're working together to also help youth embrace their rightful labels as, musicians, improvisers, and entrepreneurs, because to live in this world means you have to be creative and improvise. So everyone's already earned it. And so my specific commitment is to continue to network and work closely with these organizations who have boots on the ground and are working to undo centuries of institutional kidnapping, of which have fragmented families, and the village is coming back together. My commitment is to the village. Thank you, everyone, for all you do.
Thanks, Emerson. That was beautiful. Tanya, let's go to you next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, first I just want to say what an extraordinary group of people you are. And thank you. It's been a wonderful day. I want to, I have lots of commitments and I have to often list them and really focus on the one that is most important right now. And for me, the absolute most important thing right now is in the next 4 months, getting every single human being in the United States to vote. It is imperative. It is vital. It's everything right now. Okay. And so that's what I'm committing to right now.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Very well spoken. Christina, let's go to you next.
Okay. I feel like I have a lot as well. I mean, my life's work is really committed to fighting inequities in education. So I'm going to continue to do that at a much more local level. This Sunday, a local city of ours, Troy, is going to be having their Black Lives Matter rally. So I'll be attending that with my children. And I think it's really important. I'm trying to make a more concerted effort to really elevate the voices of my Black and brown friends and businesses, to support them, to like put them at the forefront and explicitly be asking people to support their endeavors and to kind of step back from sharing what I might normally share and let their voices be the ones that are being focused on.
Thank you so much, Christina. Marcelo.
Hi guys, quick second to also admire everyone here, to breathe in how amazing all of you guys are and what a transformational day it's been. And my commitment right now to all of you is that I'm in the technology space and I know how in the minorities are being underrepresented. So I commit to be there for each and every one of the minorities that are here present, not present, and not heard, to provide them at least 5 hours of help every week to make sure that they get the chance, the fighting chance, whether if it is with intelligence or software support, whatever they need. I want to be part of the change that we need to see out there.
Thank you so much, Marcelo. Thank you. Let's go to the innovative learning. Jacqueline, is that right?
Angelique.
Oh, yes, thank you.
This has been an amazing day. Thank you all for everything. I am committing to two things. I'm committing to stepping forward out of the shadow and not being so afraid, and to share my history around what some of the implicit biases and microaggressions have done to my humanness. So I'm going to do that. And I also commit to mentoring 2 or 3 people who want to be mentored. I am a protector of people and pretty innovative. So I commit to mentoring some of the ventures. I think that's the name, ventures.
Wow, thank you so much. Just powerful, raw, beautiful. Aiden.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my name is Aiden. I'm a 25-year-old from St. Paul, Minnesota. I grew up in a white, wealthy suburb. I didn't have much exposure to diverse opinions and stories. So I myself, I'm definitely a podcast and book lover. So I'm committing to watching and listening to content created by, especially in Minnesota, I mean, the Black and American and Native American voices, I think, need to be heard, and I'm committing to listening to them and sharing that content with people who might not hear them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So if you have a commitment, raise your hand and we'd love to hear it.
Priya is waiting.
Oh yes, Priya.
Hi. So I'm a woman of color and I'm an immigrant. So my commitment is I'm going to speak up no matter what. And I'm going to make sure that, I speak up for others who cannot, speak up for themselves. Because many a time politeness is considered as weakness. So I'm going to do that. Thank you.
Amazing. Wow. this has been just a powerful, really powerful period of time. And I'm excited to go back and watch the recording and write everything down and show the world what's been committed to. If you have a commitment and you want to write it in the chat, Heidi?
Yeah. My commitment is to create a global problem-solving network where all youth voices are heard and we design the future from dreams together. And I will not stop until it happens. And I think it already has, but I won't stop. And it is, yeah, I commit to still to radiate love and understanding and breaking down walls. And just, I feel like I want to just give everybody a hug. I want to hug everyone. That's what I want to do. Can I hug all of you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heidi. So I want to acknowledge that while this is powerful, there's a lot of work yet to be done, and that this is a first step, and this is something powerful. We have committed in this community, in this moment, with everyone here, to something, to taking a step, to taking a step forward towards something better, I believe, towards something that we can be proud of, towards something that I can tell my kids one day that I was able to make a difference in, something that I can be proud of. I know there are other people in the call, and I want to also be respectful of the rest of the time of our seminar, so I'd like to hand it to Heidi.
Yes, but I would like to hear Karen's voice. Yeah. She hasn't come on camera yet, and she's just been such a quiet strength and sister and co-mom and to me. And she's just such a gift. And so can Karen, can you come on quickly and make your commitment? You're on mute.
I'd like to commit to continue working with youth and just really helping them to understand other cultures. I think understanding is the way that, you know, that's the way to peace. You have to learn about other people and truly understand their ideas and how they feel about things. And I also love James' commitment. Just anytime that you hear, you know, it's kind of this underlying thing, anytime that you hear a racist statement, to just call someone out on it. And that's I think the only way that those types of underlying ideas will change, is to, anytime there's a racist comment or act, to call someone out on it.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I also missed a chin.
Yeah, I just want to say that I would like to commit to like just empowering everyone, right? No matter race, gender, age. I would just like to empower everyone. That's what we're doing. We're getting everyone from around the world submitting their ideas, all of that stuff, so we get everyone to participate. So yeah, empower everyone. That's what I would like to commit to.
Thank you.
I'll try to get on camera.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So we are gonna go into the judges announcing the winners. So I think we have the judges lined up here. We would love to have all the judges come on camera now. Let's see, we have all the judges. Great. Okay, so Keshav, I would like for you to just give all the judges, I would love to just see you on camera, and we would love to hear just, we're going to probably go over by about 15 minutes, people, just because we let the commitment ceremony go because it was just so important. So we still have a little ways to go, but it's so exciting what's coming next. So we have an incredible group of judges. And I wanted to have, is it Keshav or Achin are the ones that really designed this hackathon, people. I know Keshav's now 16, but when he started, he was 15. So we were so proud that we had two amazing 15-year-olds designing probably the first ever global youth-led online design challenge and hackathon. And we let them create it the way that, so the ideas I saw was based on their framework that they wanted to do. And of course the whole team agreed but they led. And so I wanted to ask Keshav and Achin to take this and just say a little bit about what was it like for you to be handed this thing and said, go ahead and design it. I think you thought you were just signing up to do a hackathon, right? So just share a little bit, like, what was it like when you were given this whole thing and said, go create a global hackathon, and then go into introducing the judges and the winning process?
Thank you, Heidi, for that. Just to say, I'm actually currently still 15. I'll be turning 16 in
Oh,
July. So
sorry.
very close still. Yeah, you're good. You're good. So just to share a little bit backstory of how we went into this hackathon, but pretty much, I think Achin can share more on his part. But pretty much, Achin invited me. Was like, hey, bro, do you want to do a hackathon together? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then we ended up in Dream Tank's meeting, and we found out we were creating a hackathon. And then we found out we were creating a movement. Then we thought we were going to ExoWorld and all these summits and etc. It was really, really cool, the process. And you can see the evolution of that. And I think Achin could talk more about how we actually found about Dream Tank.
Yeah, it was crazy. I heard about it from my dad originally, and I was just like, oh, it's a hackathon. I've been doing hackathons lately. I guess I'll join this one as well. And then after the first meeting and all the interviews, it was crazy. It was something that it was definitely a great experience planning out this entire hackathon along with so many great mentors, um, which I can't list all of them right now because there's so many. But this hackathon was basically a way to get from ideas all around the globe of children, because we believe that children have the best ideas. They have the most creative and most unique ideas that will work the best. So this hackathon is to get ideas from all around the world, from all different cultures, ages, and races to find some of the most viable ideas and turn them into put them out into the real world and basically have them succeed and kind of help out everyone with this hackathon. So that's what inspired us to start this hackathon.
And adding on to that, I like to say, like, if you see our participants' age range, we specifically chose it from 3 to 30. We first of all, we chose this because it was like a nice number. I get 3 and 30, but we also chose this because it offers a wide variety of ranges and ideas. Because all the way up till 18 or maybe even older, the brain is still developing, and we wanted to experiment how these ideas came through from a young mind. And therefore, we created certain themes also to fit these categories and these projects and these ventures into. So our themes are, if you guys didn't hear in the introduction of our summit, it's community resilience, healthcare aid and assistance, education, and economic restructuring. We also have an open innovation team. So I can talk about the community resilience. Community resilience, we're pretty much committed and focused on driving data-driven solutions in partnerships with other organizations, communities, and etc. in small and undermined communities as well. Achin can give a little bit more about healthcare aid and assistance, and then I can move on to education as well.
Yeah, healthcare aid and assistance, obviously, we're in a time where that is extremely important. And we just want to get ideas that would help out everyone in, making their doctors more effective, more efficient, so they could work faster, they could get materials faster, cheaper, etc. To basically help out everyone. So that's something about healthcare aid and assistance.
Moving on to education, as you know, the coronavirus pandemic has literally reversed our education system. We're gone from an in-person, in a classroom setting to an online environment. And this is where the equality gaps are really changing. A lot of people don't have the technologies and the needs. And we have actually had some projects being submitted into this theme to decrease these equality gaps. And then our final theme is economic restructuring. Achin, would you like to talk more about that?
Yeah, so economic restructuring, obviously, there has been a huge economic um, sort of like depression right now, and many people have lost their jobs. So we also wanted to acknowledge that and ask people to give their ideas on how to restructure the economy and maybe turn it completely virtual, but anything that could help restructure these currently fluctuating, unstable economy.
So like to summarize, we had like these specific themes so we could gear all the projects towards a certain direction related to coronavirus while having that diversity and that distinction point. So moving on, I like to go into the prize presentation, but before that, I like to acknowledge and thank you all the judges for spending their hard work and dedication to judge these projects and give amazing feedback. One
Yes.
thing yeah.
Lakeisha, I wanted to just give a shout out to the judges and have them all come on camera. And I wanted to give a shout out to Emma. She's Emma Kraft. Can you come on camera and on the microphone, Emma?
Hi.
Hi, Emma. Hi. Everyone, if you love what's happening here with Dream Tank, we have a very, very special guest. Emma was at the very, very first Dream Tank 4 summers ago, which started on July 16th, 2016, and you were going into 7th grade.
Wow.
And it is just so delightful to have you here and to hear about what you're excited about now. And I wanted you to just introduce yourself to everyone and just say, you know, what has Dream Tank helped you do in the past 4 years? And then what was your experience judging?
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. So my name is Emma. I go to Fairview High School. I live in Boulder, and I am going to be a junior, but I'm actually graduating a year early. So I'm technically a senior. And oh my gosh, Dream Tank started so long ago. I've always loved entrepreneurship and business. My mom has owned multiple different businesses and gone on many endeavors. And so I've always watched her and kind of wanted to be like her. So I came into Dream Tank with this one idea in technology. And I didn't end up actually going through with it, but Dream Tank really it really inspired me. I got to interview the
Attorney General of Colorado.
There we go. Okay, yes. Phil Weiser. That was really cool experience. And I just really now understand what a supportive community there is in entrepreneurship, and it's led me to now make a decision. I'm going to hopefully launch a sunscreen company by the end of this summer, which I'm very excited about. And
that protects the coral reefs, right?
Yes.
Or it doesn't damage them, right?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. More on that to come. And I think it's just also led me on down my path. I really want to go into entrepreneurship and engineering and science. So overall, it's just been a really amazing experience and really inspired me.
What'd you think of the ventures while you were judging?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so cool. I really loved just seeing everybody worldwide too. I thought it was a really cool experience to connect with different people, as well as different ages. It was really neat to see just the ideas. There were things that I was like, oh, I would not have ever come up with that, but I now see it and yes, that needs to be in the world. So it was really inspiring, super, super fun to judge.
Amazing. Yeah. Yes, and for everyone here, our judging panel was about 50, maybe we tried to make it 50-50 youth, really make a balance, but maybe it was a little less than that, but thank you, Emma. And then the other judges, if you just, not everyone has to speak. I just wanted really to introduce Emma to everyone, but if you want to say something, we want to hear if you have a little tidbit of an experience or a little story that while you were reading these and looking at everything, your experience and what you thought, your jaw was on the ground or whatever it is. I want to hear.
I can speak a bit to that. Actually, it was truly inspiring to see um, from I mean one of the things that I do normally on my day to day is assess startups and see the potential in businesses and how can we contribute as an adult, right? And seeing what all this youth has done in this hackathon with 1 month or maybe less, the ideas that they come out with, and the level of professionalism and quality of the products that we see at the end of this result. When I was judging this was like I had to really go back many times to the page, and it's like this was done by a 13-year-old or 14-year-old or 15-year-old. Like it's amazing. So definitely, I have my confidence when
And
I
you're
look at the
VC. You look at a lot of deals.
yeah, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and seeing the different products that you guys done, definitely a big round of applause to your capacity, regardless of the results that could be here. Dream Tank is forever. Your dreams are going to just keep getting bigger, and your capacity to meet them, they're just going to keep getting bigger too.
Thank you so much. I love it.
I would
Okay.
say, I thought it was really hard to choose because I read the first one. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. It's here already, the clear winner. And then I would go to the next one and I'm like, oh no, this is it. This is really great. So like I had to rechange my answers so many times because they were all fantastic. And I would say it was really hard because it was just so hard to choose. They were all amazing ideas. It's just so impressed that kids that young could come up with ideas like that.
Wonderful. Okay, so Keshav, do you want to announce the winners?
Sorry about that, was on mute. I like to share my screen currently we have created a slideshow trying to get this thing hyped up. While we can't be physically here, we can try our best to try to interact with the participants. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's begin. Before we get started, I just want to say it was a truly honor to work with this group of panelists and other people and the participants as well, and communicating with you all. I think it was definitely, we learned more than how much you would learn in like a lifetime. It's insane amount of it's a learning process. It's the process that matters, not the result. So what I want to say is before we jump into the prizes, all you guys tried your best, and that's what matters the most. That's the first and foremost, the most important thing. Afterwards comes the results. The results is just the reflection of how hard you worked. That's not true. It's just that maybe you didn't reach that point towards. So let's get into it and we can get started. So let's go into the themes. Achin, do you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think we already talked about this pretty in depth a little while back. So we have economic restructuring, community resilience, education, healthcare aid and assistance, and open innovation. So these are our main themes that we try to have to gear towards solving this current pandemic.
So let's begin, the prizes. So before we go into the prizes, we want to show and acknowledge the prizes because that's always cool to do.
So for best medical device hack, we 4 teams would win. We would have Creality Ender 3D printer. This is really cool. You can model stuff and then 3D print it. So one thing you could potentially print out are like masks, stuff like that. Then we have the best community resilience or economic restructuring hack, and they are Oculus VR headsets. And it'd be really cool because right now we can't go outside, but you can still do stuff in VR, so virtually outside. It's really cool. And finally, the best educational hack will get a DJI Tello EDU drone, which is actually a programmable drone, so it's pretty cool.
So let's move on. So let's get into our first theme, healthcare aid and assistance. So for this, can I have a drum roll, everyone? I know we can't really hear the voice, but if everyone could unmute themselves on the panelists and just like clap or something like that, just make some noise, get this thing hyped up. All right, 3, 2, 1. Healthcare aid and assistance we have. Best medical hack, COVID Doc, Nerbula, and touch-free ATM. Achin, do you want to go in more about these teams and what they presented?
They all had really great ideas. I don't think we can go through each and every one of them because there were so many, and we can't really go through each and every one of them. But I think you can all check these out at the. I'll put a link into the chat later for you guys to look at all of the submissions that we had on our hackathon. But these were the top 3 ones for medical device hacks.
Sounds good. Let's move on to community resilience and economic restructuring. I want to say one thing about this theme is that it's really cool because it unites the whole community together, as well as changing the digital economy that's happening today. So let's get into it. All
right, so the best community resilience hacks were Toka Games, Pandemic Watch Online, Relief, and Moral Investment. Once again, I will put a link in the chat so you guys can look at all of the submissions. But for right now, I don't think we have enough time because these are so great. And it'd really be great if you guys can read the descriptions and watch the demos for yourself.
Yes, we can put it in the Slack too, that you all joined.
Yep. Now,
so let's move.
Education.
So let's move on to the best educational hack. We had 3 teams: Emotional AI, MedU, and EdHome. All these teams, we were very close, and it was just an honor to see their projects and how they implemented into the education system so efficiently and so effectively. So let's get into top 3 teams. This was very close, and I like to share a short 1-minute backstory on how this happened. So after we got like all the scores and the judging was done, what we had was 3 teams. And what happened was these 3 teams were almost tied. And then we said, let's do a revote. We did a revote, and you know what happened? Another tie occurred. We did approximately 1 or 2 times, or like around 2 or 3 times a revote before we actually came to final conclusion.
So yeah, this was just extremely insane. Yeah.
So let's begin. In 3rd place, I can't talk about the prize.
All right, so yeah, 3rd place, they will get an Apple Watch Series 5. I don't think I need to explain it. You guys already know how awesome it is. You guys might have seen it already. So let's go into who won that. So for 3rd place,
we have SpendSmart.
Right.
Yes. Awesome.
SpendSmart was a grocery app that basically it tells you how. So I'm just doing this for the top 3, but it tells you how far. Sorry. It tells you how far away you can find groceries, how much it costs, finds the most efficient stores, meaning if you have these specific things to buy, it will tell you where to go and approximately how long it will take, I believe. So it was really cool.
Let's move on to our next prize in 2nd place.
Go ahead, Keshav.
Okay, yeah. So in 2nd place, we have Xbox One X. It's a gaming console. It's super fast. The graphics are amazing. I have one of the lower versions of this thing, but it's amazingly good. So let's get into it. In 2nd place, we have, drumroll please, Mass Detect. And I like to explain a little bit about this project because I think it was really cool and how they implemented it. Mass Detect uses artificial intelligence, a deep learning algorithm, to detect if a person is wearing a mask or not. And it can be implemented into security surveillance cameras to see if a group of people are wearing a mask when they're close to each other or when they're breaking that 6 feet safety measure. They also created a 3D mask model, which was unique to compare to the other masks because it reused their filters and provided a mask that lasted for a longer time. So good job, Mass Detect. And yeah, Hachin, do you have anything else to say?
Now let's head on to our number 1, the winner. After so many ties, the winner that finally prevailed. So for the first, they will get a Dell G5, I believe Dell G5 15 gaming desktop, which is a really high-end gaming desktop.
So let's get into it. The 1st place prize goes to AI-powered digital hospital. This project was one of the far best projects in the hackathon. They were the most developed, and that's why we chose that this project was the right project to receive 1st place. And they also presented us with information and stuff that could easily be implemented into hospital systems. And they already actually said they already had 200 clients that were already using this hospital system, which is really, really cool. So I think that wraps up our presentation. Let's get a clap right over here.
Everybody.
For all the projects. More awesome. It's really hard to decide for the judges, I believe.
And I just want to give a big shout out to everyone in Dream Tank, everyone around the globe who helped make this come possible, because I think this was a truly great experience for me, as well as and as well as pretty much the whole world. And I think we want to continue this further, and we want to build on these projects and make them into a reality, not just the top 3 teams, but all 17 projects, because I believe all 17 projects are distinct and are able to become in reality in their own way. So thank you, everyone. And that's pretty much it. Heidi can close it with the last words of this summit. Thank you.
Wow. Are your jaws dropped on the ground? I am so excited. It was such a beautiful presentation, you guys. I love it. I love it. So big round of applause. Pick your jaws up off the ground. And so we're going to have some really cool programs this summer. So please, everyone here, sign up on our Slack so you can stay in touch. And we're going to do a summer program, and there's some really cool things. Our partners here, Christina and Athena, are going to orchestrate a big virtual 5K for families and people in all communities all around the world to come together and raise money to start their own dream tanks and their own programs. And they have this incredible community service project and idea to implement into our programs. We're going to be partnering up radically. So we have a group of people who are right now designing this kind of the future of what education can be like from our education pod. And we're going to be announcing some of those big commitments and those collective impact ideas from each group on the Slack. And we're going to be announcing our summer program, which is going to be an 8-week Design the Future journey. So everyone can keep working on their ideas. It is an offering that is paid, but we're also going to make scholarships available. That because we're going to receive so much support from everyone that's showing up, we'll be able to offer scholarships. And we're really excited because over this summer, we can really design a lot of what we're doing here and what we've talked about. We can develop it further. So we created this space so we can keep collaborating. And so it'll be an individual entrepreneurial journey so you can continue to get some of the skills training that you got today and much deeper for all the ventures. And then we'll have the design challenges throughout the program like we always do, where you go from working on your own project and then you join a team and work on a collective impact project. And so we're going to follow the themes of our collective impact groups here today to keep going deeper with all this incredible community and beyond. So actually, I don't want to have the last word today. I actually want to ask Lauren to close. Before I do that, I wanted to ask if Jeff, you wanted to add any last comment. I think there's one comment that I love when you tell this story. About why you're choosing to do what you're doing right now, Jeff, and a conversation you had with someone very special. And I wondered if you could share that story, and then we can hand the baton to the youth and have Lauren close us out.
All right, I will do this quick then. So we were doing a project at the time where we asked college students to figure out how to make life better in refugee camps all over the world, because the governments were doing nothing except letting people waste away in refugee camps. And when we finished the project and students presented all these ideas, we were delivering some of them to Tibetan refugee camps. And as a result, I was going to give out the prizes, and we were going to fund, like we're going to do a Dream Tank, find and fund the best ideas. And so we flew them all to New York City from around the world to give out these prizes. And I got a call that somebody heard about the program and wanted to give out the prizes with me. And the someone turned out to be the Dalai Lama and had flown into the US. And I was not prepared to have personal time with the Dalai Lama to do this, but he was amazed at what we were doing with youth solutions to problems that governments weren't fixing. And so I wasn't prepped. So I was trying to think of something clever to ask him. And I said, look, got any advice? We're trying to change the world. And he said, Jeff, if you would think that if you want to change the world, you need to go talk to the people that are running it. And I said, that makes sense. And he said, but you're wasting your time. The Dalai Lama said, the people that run the world today will never change. He said, just let them die off. He said, instead, spend the whole rest of your life preparing the youth to do it better. And that was so energizing and reassuring and reaffirming to me. And it fit my personal mission. And then what I couldn't figure out was a scaled way to do that. When Heidi called and said, Dream Tank is the way we do exactly what the Dalai Lama was saying. Let's not worry about the people running the world today. Let's just take care of the people running it tomorrow. That is a perfect segue to hand this back to Lauren.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and Heidi, and everyone. Today has been amazing, simply amazing. In a time that it's sorely needed some amazingness, right? Living in Minnesota and also being one of 6 kids, also just going through my own trials and struggles in life and pushing boundaries as a young person from a really young age. Today has been incredibly powerful. And I think I speak on behalf of our team that we are just incredibly grateful for everyone who showed up today, who gave us your time, which is so, so valuable. And just briefly, a few days ago, we were talking about getting ready for today and amongst our team, and we were feeling some pressure because when you have the key to something, when you have the answer that the world is looking for, it can feel like a lot of weight to carry. And I hope that by being involved today, you've seen that we have the answer. Youth are your answer. Kids are the answer. And so I feel like a weight is coming off my shoulders because now it's not just up to our team, it's up to you all to help us make noise into music and to take this forward and to share on your social medias and to talk about it, because today we've done something impactful and amazing. And that's what Dream Tank is all about. So with that, I want to do something special. I'm going to ask everyone to come on camera. And this is how we end all of our meetings.
Lauren, one more thing. I just wanted the youngest person on the call to say something, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Amalia, what you just wrote in the chat, just say from your heart something similar. And after going to 3 years of Dream Tanks, when it was just this little program in Boulder that no one knew about 3 years ago, how do you feel today?
Okay, so first I just want to thank Dream Tank for everything they've done and for just including me in this project that has changed so many lives already. And I have no doubt that Dream Tank will definitely make an enormous impact on our future and just make it I don't know how to put this, amazing for so many youth to be able to express their ideas and actually be recognized and heard for it. And I want to thank you for just kind of opening that door and making it just an experience that taught me all these real world skills that I will actually use in the future and that will actually make me a better entrepreneur and just give me that gateway to be able to say what I'm thinking and not be afraid of what others are going to think, if it's reasonable or not, or if they're going to turn it down. Just that confidence that Dream Tank provides is just so life-changing, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. So I have no doubt that this project will definitely change the world in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. So thank you all, and keep it up.
Good night.
I'm actually gonna toss it to Brayden, who's been doing amazing work on the back end to take us through our Dream Makers Out routine that we do when we end calls. Because yeah, I think I want to just give him a moment, and it's been crazy. There's been craziness in the back end. I can see he's probably in another getting ready for the press room. But Brayden, if you could lead us through Dream Makers Out, and we'll rally together one last moment here, and then probably go get some dinner.
I know.
Two, three.
Dream makers.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Can I take a photo? Can I take a photo? Can I take a photo?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. 1 minute. I just want. All right. Everyone, smile, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you.
That was such a beautiful panel. Thank you, everyone, for bringing your great night. Celebrate. A momentous shift happened. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Be safe,
for
everyone.
everything. Bye.
Bye, rock stars. See you soon. Woo!
Woo! Bye.
Hi, team.
Bye, everyone. Amazing.
Hello.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, Lauren. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Angelique. Thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Are we staying? Is this the press room, or do we have